Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. It is February 22nd. Hope everybody is. This is going to be something that is. We're going to be screening the film at the Jewish Free Loan Association in Beverly Hills, California, believe it or not. If you want to come to that event, if you happen to be in Southern California or anywhere around the Southland, contact me or contact Lisa Ansell, and she can get you in for free. I think refreshments will be served and stuff, so it's kind of a cool thing. Come on by, check it out, and you can watch the film as well for free there if you show up there. Second announcement. Please donate, dudes. We have to raise around $440, I think, dollars this coming week. So before like Monday or Tuesday, we can survive and thrive and fight and win this battle on very little, guys. We absolutely cannot do it on nothing. We will cease to exist if we can't raise the relative, not even nickels and dimes, like the pennies compared to what the bad guys spend against us. So just please help so I could shut up about it, if you would, please. So tonight's topic is kind of loaded. Tonight we're going to talk about Republicans. So we are a fiercely nonpartisan group, if you haven't noticed, and particularly if you're new to the group, welcome. We're a fiercely nonpartisan group, and we are a single issue group as well. So we're not pulling for either one of the political parties. Both of the political parties are frankly crap, if I'm being honest. Each in different ways. It's kind of a good cop, bad cop thing. Historically, the Republicans have opposed our mission of getting bankruptcy rights returned to student loans. And more recently, in recent years, they absolutely oppose us on student loan cancellation. So I don't know if that second thing will ever change. It's kind of hard to imagine, isn't it? And that's fine, whatever. They can think what they want. The loans will be canceled, by the way. Federal student loans are finished in this country. Almost nobody's going to ever resume repaying on their loans whenever they have the chutzpah to try and turn this lending program back on. But, you know, the most important thing about this whole problem comes down to bankruptcy. Whether you would ever or never file for bankruptcy does not matter. We've got to get the leverage of bankruptcy back on our side before anything meaningful is going to happen. Student loan cancellation, chief among them. We're not going to see meaningful student loan cancellation from Joe Biden. We're not. Or the next president, whoever that may be. We're not going to see that unless and until we get the constitutionally enshrined leverage of bankruptcy back on our side. So again, historically, the Republicans have tended to oppose us in Congress. And that's just true. But we've seen major movement on that, even over the past 3 years since the loan cancellation became kind of a thing. By the way, student loan cancellation by executive order started on this group, so you know. Pat on the back. We were the group that introduced the concept into the public conversation with a seminal Vice News interview that we did in August 2019. But more importantly, with a petition that we started in March 2020 calling on the president to cancel not 10,000 lame, measly dollars, cancel all federally owned student loans by executive order. The lending system has failed. It needs to be completely wiped away and started again. If we are even going to have a student loan program in this country, frankly, I don't think we should. My gut tells me that student loans are just a super bad idea because we've seen the corruption that has crept in and overwhelmed this current system. But regardless of what you think about or what Republicans may think about loan cancellation, in the past 3 years, we have seen articles written by people from places like George Mason University, probably the first or second most conservative college in this country, in Virginia, from the Federalist Society. We've seen multiple articles written by very conservative thinkers calling for the return of bankruptcy protections to student loans. On and on and on. And even in Congress, last session, the bill that we almost passed, so close to passing, it was co-sponsored by sort of old school Republican John Cornyn in Texas, but also a MAGA new young Republican named Josh Hawley in Missouri. Now, again, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, whether you feel sick to your stomach right now, even thinking about those people or not, it's not important, guys. We need to push everyone in Congress, and this session in particular, we need to push House Republicans. Speaking of House Republicans, we've had some Republicans co-sponsor or publicly support our bankruptcy legislation in the past. Most notably, there's a guy named Matt Gaetz in Florida, who a lot of people cannot stand. Matt Gaetz has very loudly and proud, and I'd say pretty proudly, made the argument for returning bankruptcy protections to student loans. So whatever you think about as other politics, we've got something there with Matt Gaetz. John Katko recently retired, David Jolly before him. And just in conversations that I had last year, although our House bill never really even was given a fair chance to be passed, and neither of our bills got up for a vote on either the Senate or the House floor, which is despicable. Shame on the Democrats, by the way. We hate both parties, as I said. It's kind of a good cop, bad cop thing. Who do you hate worse? The guy who says he hates you, or the guy who says he's your friend, but when push comes to shove and things get important, he abandons you? Like, what's worse? Which is a worse, which is worse? So, we, in many ways, we have no party as student loan borrowers, ladies and gentlemen. That's just true. And the Democrats, last session, they had everything they needed to get this done, and they've been promising to return bankruptcy protection to student loans for the past, 8-9 years now, since 2016. So yeah, in many ways, guys, we are a bastard child at this point. But the good news is there are a lot of us. Just on our little group, we've got like 1.4 million people across all of our platforms. That includes our petition, which is like 1.2 million. And those people are not nearly as active as they should be, quite frankly. And we are pushing them, but it's tough. But even on our Facebook group, we've got over 20,000 people. We've got another 150,000 people across all of our email platforms and our other internet platforms, many, many thousands. So, there's a lot of people on our side. And the bigger picture is this, guys. 1 in roughly 5, a little more, a little less. So 18% of all adults in this country. So if you go to a bar and you see 5 people, one of those people, 18% of everyone, is a distressed student loan borrower. Not just a student loan borrower, but a distressed student loan borrower. That is a lot of people, ladies and gentlemen. That's like 44 million people. That's like almost enough people to elect a president, like by ourselves. Like that's how strong we are, ladies and gentlemen. So really, the Republicans need to come around. And here's the most strong thing that I can say. And hopefully you will be an ambassador and take this thought with you and spread it everywhere, particularly among all your conservative and Republican friends. The Republicans are on exactly the wrong side of the student loan issue almost completely today. If you Google like Republican and student loan cancellation, you will see almost monolithically, almost as a monolith, the Republicans are dead set against student loan cancellation. There are a few exceptions, but and if you looked at the last election, and I think even the election of the presidential election of 2020, the Republicans were expecting this huge, Ronald Reagan like land, what do you call it? A tidal wave victory, a landslide victory in 2020. Well, not only did that not happen, Republicans lost the Senate and they lost the presidency. And this last election, again, it's going to be a red wave. Yeah, what happened to that red wave? I will tell you what happened to that red wave, because every Republican in every congressional race in the country was wagging his finger at us, the student loan borrowers, and calling us, spoiled, entitled, liberal, coastal elite snowflakes and stuff like that. That pissed off a lot of people, and not just Democrats. My best estimate is that over half of all student loan borrowers are either Republican or independent. I kid you not. So of the 44 million distressed student loan borrowers in the country, more than 22 million of them are right-leaning voters. And the Republican, and they're losing sleep over their student loans. The last thing they want to see is their Republican candidate calling them, hippie, Gen Z, millennial, woke, pick the liberal slur, whatever, liberal snowflake. They didn't like that. They didn't like being insulted. It alienated them. And the student loan problem is getting worse quickly, ladies and gentlemen, particularly when and if they turn these loans back on and people have to actually start paying again. This does not bode well for the Republicans. I have a hard time seeing the Republicans ever win another statewide race in states like Georgia, where the people of Georgia owe 169% of the entire state budget. And other battleground states, including Arizona. This is more a senior issue than a Gen Z issue. Like there are more people over the age of 50 than under the age of 25 with student loans. I kid you not. And they owe like 3 times more on average, despite having borrowed far less many years ago. And, that's hitting places like Arizona and Florida very hard. Lots of old people in Arizona and Florida, a lot of retirees. So the Republicans are grasping, they have a losing and a getting worse hand at the table, as long as they continue to wag their finger at student loan borrowers. We're not liberal, young coastal elites. Hell, I'm over 50. Probably most people watching this live stream are over 40 or 50. The Republicans need something if they want to even survive as a party going forward. Because I kid you not, guys, the numbers are growing. The numbers are just unfathomable. When 85% of all student loan borrowers were never going to be able to repay their loans, Houston, we've got a problem. And if the Republicans have nothing to solve it with, it's hard to imagine them ever all of a sudden coming around on student loan cancellation. But it's very easy to imagine that they will, and in fact, they must come around on returning bankruptcy protection student loans. And remember, guys, whether you would ever or never file for bankruptcy, that's not important. Frankly, I think very few people would need to file for bankruptcy once we get the right returned. Once we get the leverage of bankruptcy returned, it's a whole new ballgame for us. And frankly, they're going to have to cancel loans very broadly, widely, meaningfully, deeply, maybe even totally. If I was in Washington, D.C. looking at this train wreck, I'd say, you know what, guys, we're going to go ahead and call this one good. We're going to go ahead and cancel this whole entire disgusting abomination. And we're going to start from scratch. We're going to figure out a better way to fund the colleges, something that doesn't break the country and bankrupt its people. So very few people should actually have to file, guys. It's just the leverage. Just the threat is everything. So I hope you all can understand the wisdom of this. And again, whatever your political stripes are, whether you're Republican or Democrat, we need you here, and we're glad you're here. And you will hear us say very terrible things about Republicans. But at the same time, you're going to hear us say very terrible things about Democrats. There is almost no one in Congress that I can say almost anything good about these days, especially like the previous good guys, like historically the good guys, like Dick Durbin. We thought we could trust Dick Durbin. It turns out we could not trust Dick Durbin, Democrat. He betrayed us. He, at the 11th hour last session, a couple of colleges, HBCUs most notably, and shame on the HBCUs for this, they really hurt their own people. But at the 11th hour last congressional session, the HBCUs stood up and actively opposed our bills, Senator Durbin's bills. And Dick Durbin caved in to them. And it wasn't just the HBCUs, guys, really. And I don't have any proof of this, but I would guess that it was far deeper than just the HBCUs that opposed this legislation. I think it was all the colleges. And I think they were using the HBCUs as a scapegoat, quite frankly. I think the for-profit colleges were probably chief among them. I don't have any proof to claim that, but I do believe that it's true. And I think maybe at some point, hopefully we'll find out one way or the other. So I hope that's clear, guys. We've got our marching orders. We simply must fight for bankruptcy. This student loan cancellation thing that's being thrown around the media right now, that the Supreme Court, and that, by the way, we deserve a lot of credit that it even happened in the first place. But you can hopefully tell by the tone of my voice that we are not impressed at all with this stupid, tricky, and I would say insultingly lame and feckless loan cancellation. Like, whichever way the Supreme Court case goes, we're pretty much screwed either way, right? Like, if Biden wins and they cancel these loans, that is all they're ever gonna do. They'll be like, "Yep, we did our thing for you. You're done." And the lion's share of people on our group, $10,000 or less in student loans is nothing. Like, we have people who accrue $10,000 a year in interest alone. And remember, the Department of Education has all sorts of bureaucratic tricks and exploits that they can use to get back that $10,000 per borrower really quickly, and that is what they will do. And if Biden loses the case, if the Supreme Court says, "Oh no, Mr. President, you cannot cancel the loans," well, we were screwed anyways. And the law. I don't think that Biden ever even wanted to win the Supreme Court case in the first place. Honestly, he never wanted to cancel loans. It goes against his DNA. Joe Biden is not a good guy on the student loan issue. He is not. So I hope that makes sense. I'm looking for your comments now. I'm going to rip right through them, and I think I'm going to call it an early night tonight, guys. Hope that's okay. And it probably won't end up being an early night. I always say that, but I always end up going like 30. I hope that makes sense. I'm looking for your comments. I always end up going like 30-something minutes anyways. Leslie Fishman says, "Asshole." I hope you're not talking to me. I think you're probably talking about like Biden or something. Leslie Issue says it's a human issue for F's sakes, as the English would say. You know, when you have people who are literally fleeing the country, when you have families that are killing off the whole entire family, including the kids, the mother, the father, and all the kids, like 6 children, like a family of 8, and they do a family side or whatever you want to call that. And student loans is by far and away their biggest debt, and they were unable to discharge their student loans in bankruptcy, despite what some bankruptcy judge may have promised them. And lo and behold, they wind up killing themselves. You know, this is a human issue. You know, when you have people not able to get married, have children, do normal lifestyle things, this is fucking sinister. Pardon my French. We don't have to take this shit, ladies and gentlemen. Don't ever forget that. That's what makes this group strong. We will not. We are principally pure. We are ethically pure. We will not sell out like some of the other groups do, like most of the other groups that I've seen have done. We don't do deals with the bad guys. We don't have little secret handshake deals with the collection industry or the lending industry. None of that bullshit, guys. We are pure and we are right. And we do not have to put up with this shit. And all the data is on our side. The founding fathers are on our side. The Constitution is on our side. Founding fathers called for uniform bankruptcy laws. They called for uniform bankruptcy rights for all intents and purposes. And have the power to freaking declare war and raise an army in the Constitution. We are right, and we are fighting the good fight, ladies and gentlemen. You should be proud to be helping us fight. And I think Leslie will tell you, it feels good to fight this fight. It's patriotic to fight this fight that we're in. And in my humble opinion, nobody should ever pay another dime back, certainly on their federal student loans. They should not. Don't feed the beast. Bulletproof yourself. It's going to get kind of ugly, guys. It just will. I think our best chance was last session. This session, it's going to be rough. And we got to be strong and we got to be tough. And that's just true. Rob Miller says, I'd tell my story, but it involves drugs, a Christian college, and the 90s in Arkansas. Lol. Well, that doesn't put you too far removed from like Bill Clinton then, Rob, right? I mean, if Bill can tell his story. Rob continues, I've been patted on the back for leaving drugs in my 20s. Student loans, though, question mark. Yeah, you know, everybody and their brother tries to attach some personal blame for this student loan nightmare. This is not a bad borrower problem. You know, we have pastors, ministers, we have rabbis in our group, very good people. And I happen to know, even the names I'm looking at, I have some very good people on this group. This is not a issue of personal responsibility. This is a problem of massive, egregious, systemic, nationwide greed and massively irresponsible and predatory lending. I would even call it loan sharking. This is the most predatory debt instrument in our nation's history. You show me any other loan where there are no bankruptcy protections, there's no statutes of limitations, there's no truth in lending laws, fair debt collection practices don't apply, state usury laws don't apply, fair debt collection practices laws are limited, greatly limited. Yeah, there is no other. It's only student loans. So this is not, it's not you. It's not you out there, ladies and gentlemen. You shouldn't have to, and you absolutely should not suffer in silence and beat yourself up, no matter what past indiscretions you may have encountered in your youth, myself included. I mean, nobody's perfect. I could sit here for hours and hours about the stupid things I did when I was a kid, for better or for worse. And certainly I think most people have those stories. In fact, I'd be surprised if anyone doesn't have those stories. So yeah, guys, this is not what a lending system was is supposed to be in this country. You know, when they rolled out the student loan program in 1965, the president, LBJ, he declared that the loans would be free of interest. And here, $100 billion a year in interest alone clicks off on our backs. You know, when it gets to the point where conservative states like Texas, where you would think almost nobody has student loans, right? Because they are upright, pull themselves up by their bootstraps, fiercely independent, conservatives. Yeah, $141 billion in mostly federal student loan debt is hanging around the necks of truck drivers and cowboys and ranch hands and you name it, all walks of life of the good people of Texas. So, yeah, guys, we got this. We're way stronger than you might think. And I will say also, Rob, back to the childhood drugs and alcohol and all whatever you said. And I do not see a halo above my head for sure. You know, even the Amish people, right? Like when you turn, I think, 18 or 19 or something, 21? Even the Amish people let their kids just go absolutely fucking crazy for a year. I think they call it Rummerspringa or something like that. It's like a German thing, but so yeah, don't. And you know, that is one of the strongest weapons that our opponents have against us is our own sense of responsibility, our own sense of morality, our own sense of, sort of our own goodwill, if you will, is being used against us by the bad guys. You know, all the best cons do that. They slave to a person's ego and their identity and their good faith. And, and the student loan scam just checks all of those boxes, right? Nobody wants to stand out in public and say bad things about their alma mater. I mean, that's their alma mater, right? Like, go team. You don't want to do that. Nobody wants to talk about their student loan problems publicly. A lot of people don't even tell their husbands, wives, or children about their student debt disasters that are hiding in their closets. So this is a scam, ladies and gentlemen. We're caught in a scam. And as long as you sit there and don't say anything and you wait and you watch and you worry and you wonder what's going to happen, I can guarantee you nothing at all good is going to happen. You've got to get your back into this fight with me and Leslie and Rob and Lisa and everybody else that I mentioned, everybody else on the live stream tonight. We're doing it. It's not bad. It's not hard at all. It feels good to do nothing more than to tell the truth about this unconstitutional, intolerable, not justifiable lending scam. It feels good to get the truth out there. People's minds are changing, hopefully quicker than in years past. But I can tell you, in the year in 2005, when we first started Student Loan Justice, I think it was around 2006 or 7, I went on NPR. I went on national radio for the first time. This was NPR, right? So it was supposed to be a friendly audience. It was not. Like, it was a call-in show. It was On Point with Tom Ashbrook. And there was probably 10 callers, and probably 9 of those callers said, you know, when you borrow money, you're supposed to pay it back. Like, duh, really? Wow, did not know that. And that was NPR. So things have gotten far, 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 far better now. People out there in the world who do not give two shits about student loans, even they, most of the time, when they think about student loans now, they don't automatically think back to, you know, a bunch of kids at Fort Lauderdale drinking beer on spring break. That long-standing sort of archetype, I guess you'd call it, stereotype. That's almost gone now, guys. I think when most people think about student loans, they think, That's a messy, messy subject. Like there's something not right about student loans. I think most people sort of are starting to get that. So, but clearly, as last session demonstrated, we've still got a little tiny bit of the way to go, guys. And the last mile, or the last inch, I should say, or the last millimeter before we finally get to the top of the hill, it's going to be the hardest, guys. It just is. And it's going to be rough. This is going to be a very tough year for us. So get ready to fight. We can do it easily, very easily. We came so effing close last congressional session. I keep kicking myself about that. If even 2 or 3 times more people helped this year than helped last year, and this year, guys, last year, I'm going to be honest. We've got 1.4 million people in our group. I don't even think that not even close to 0.4 of those people, not even 400,000 people over the past 2 years actually helped us. In fact, I would bet that less than, I would say, except for the people who signed our petition, but that doesn't count. I don't think more than about 100, maybe 200,000 people actually did anything above and beyond to help us in this fight. And on any given day, I could only see a few hundred, maybe a few thousand. So if you want this problem solved, guys, you came to the right place. This is the place. There is no other group fighting this battle as it needs to be fought. The other groups are completely full of shit. The other groups don't even want to solve this problem, as best as I can tell. They're making too much money pimping this problem. They're fake. And I'm very sorry to have to say that, because if there was a group out there actually fighting this fight in a way that it must be fought, I wouldn't have to be here, and I wouldn't be doing this, and I could take the banner behind me and throw it away. But that group does not exist. Well, that group exists, but that group is us. We're it, guys. Like it or not, we're the veterans. We're the pioneers on this. We can't count on any of the nonsense groups in Washington, D.C. or New York or wherever else they may be. We cannot count on them. We can only count on us. We're all we've got. Can't count on the media either, guys. We've been getting lucky in the media here and there. That's true, but we cannot count on the media. We can't count on anything but us. So in the immortal words of, I think it was Russell Wilson, Seattle Seahawks quarterback, now plays for the Denver Broncos, we're all we've got, but we're all we need. So take that to heart, ladies and gentlemen. In closing, I will finally only say, please donate, guys. I have to repeat it. We're not going to exist in like a month and a half if we don't raise money. So please, just so I can shut up about it. Do our daily actions. If you're wondering what you can do right now, go to our website, studentloanjustice.org, and do our daily actions. Do the past 2 weeks worth of our daily actions. We don't do those every day because it's so early in the year. We will ramp those up. So probably by the end of summer, we will be doing them every day, but we do them 2-3 times a week. So do the past 2 weeks with daily actions. They're very quick. They take very little time at all, but get it done. And then you can say that you're pulling your weight. Until you do that, you're not pulling your weight. Also, one last thing, get a meeting with both of your House representatives. With both of your senators, federal senators, and also your one federal House representative. That's 3 people. Get a phone conference with them. It doesn't have to be them. It can be their staff. Most importantly, it would be their judiciary staffer. Remember that. Say, I want to set up a meeting with your judiciary staffer, Congressman Matt Gaetz or whoever else, Senator Dick Durbin or whoever else. Get us in a phone conference and bring us into the meeting. We can do most or all of the talking. This is something we really would like to do for all 535 members of Congress. I would like to meet with all of them by the end of the summer. That's 535 people. I'm sitting here ready to do it, but it's never going to happen until you, their constituent, set up that meeting and bring me onto it. My name is Alan Collins. Justice at studentloanjustice.org, or Alan, ALAN, at studentloanjustice.org. My phone number is 202-594-1120. And if you get all three of those meetings set up and we do those meetings, you will have pulled your weight, and I salute you. Okay, guys, I'll be back on Friday. I may possibly chirp in tomorrow. We'll see what's going on. Playing it by ear here on the Tuesdays and Thursdays lately, but I'll for sure see you on Friday. Hang in there. We're glad you found us. Spread the word about this group. And the last thing I'll say, again, for the third time, if you appreciate all that we've done, all that we're doing, all that we're poised to get done, please donate, folks, so I can shut up. Thank you. Good night. Good luck. God bless. And Godspeed, everyone.